Claymation is a form of stop animation where clay or other moldable materials are used to create objects or characters to use within a film. A series of still frames are taken of the clay figures in different positions, and then they're replayed in succession to create a sense of movement. The first Claymation film appeared in 1908. Some of the most famous Claymation characters are Gumby, Wallace and Gromit, Bob the Builder, the Little Prince, and the California Raisins. I was introduced to the process of making Claymation films as a counselor at the University of Florida's Digital Kids Tech Camp in Gainesville. Here I learned the skills necessary to assist students in making their own simple clay animation movies as part of a week-long camp experience. Later on in this film, I'll include an example of one of the movies I created with a 4th grade student from P.K. Young Elementary. I'll also discuss the process of making Claymation films and some ideas of how they can be used in the classroom to make the learning process more engaging for young students. When creating Claymation films, the first step is to have students plan and brainstorm ideas and techniques they may want to use in their film. This is a very good time to talk to students about the elements that go into both fictional and non-fictional stories, such as the plot, characters, or the setting. Next, show students how to put their ideas on paper or on screen by creating a storyboard. There are many useful programs available that provide students with an organized framework from which to build their story on. Storyboards also allow students to plan their movies scene by scene and to think ahead about the different props, sounds, characters, or other elements they may want to use in each one. This will help greatly once they begin to film and have a plan for their movie. Another good idea is to have students create a script for their film so that they can easily narrate the movie or have a dialogue for characters in the film ready for others to read. Once planning is done, the next step is to create characters and props for the film. Remember to have students sketch what they want the set and characters to look like before they begin molding clay. It helps to build characters and props out of wire first to give them extra support and to make it easier to move them. Also remind students to prepare background scenes for each different setting in their story. Scenes can be created with simple pencil drawings, construction paper, or cut out photographs from magazines. To film, make sure students put their video cameras on tripods to avoid having to constantly adjust them. Also remind students to make sure their entire scenes fit in the viewfinder before filming. They should also make sure they have good lighting for each scene. Next, students will have to test their patience by adjusting their characters slowly and snapping shots of each change to create movement. It's a good idea to model this aspect of production for students beforehand so they realize just how many pictures they must take to make a scene flow properly. If scenes are too choppy, they may lose their audience. Once students are done filming, the next step is to import their pictures into a video editing program and begin putting it all together. Some programs educators have suggested for working with kids are iMovie, Media Suite, and Windows Movie Maker. In these programs, children can place their pictures in sequential order, experiment with the timing for their frames, and add sound effects, background music, and transitions between frames. Remember, it's a good idea to add narration at the very end of the editing process to make sure that the animation flows smoothly with what is being said. The final aspect of creating a Claymation film is to share the film with others. Encourage students to show their completed pieces to classmates and family members. This can be done by converting their animation into a movie file that can be played on applications such as QuickTime. If students and parents are willing, you may also want to make their films available on the internet, either on a class's personal webpage or a public educational website. The following movie is an example of a clay animation I helped create with a 4th grade girl at P.K. Young Elementary. The film, entitled Mystery Max, took 4 3-hour sessions at UF's Digital Kids Tech Camp to create. The film is about the young girl's cousin Max, who must rescue his sister after she gets stuck on a counter in the kitchen when trying to get a glass of juice. The experience was extremely enjoyable for both myself and the student. I encourage all educators to experiment with claymation and movie making in their own classrooms. This way, the curriculum can be made much more interesting to young students and allow them to develop the talents needed to produce creative and original projects in the future.